Hello students, in this video we are going to take up the topic consequences of the Renaissance, and after that we will work on the question answers related to this chapter number 12, Renaissance. So here let's begin with the consequences. There are just a few points that we'll discuss in this. First is, now we know how Renaissance started and what all impact it had in different spheres of the society, like art, painting, literature, and so on and so forth, even science and everything. But besides that, what were the real consequences of Renaissance that we have? So under that, we are going to do the first point, led to the Reformation movement in Europe. Once Renaissance started, it was the revival, or it was the coming of a modern way of thinking, rebirth and restart of all the entire scenario, social scenario, the society, the mindset, the thinking, the approach, everything changed, and this led to a reformation of a society. And this reformation of the society basically turned out to be a totally new movement afterwards, and that was called the Reformation movement in Europe. So here we see Renaissance made way for the Reformation in England and in Europe in totality, we can say. People started viewing everything by questioning and by observation and experiment. They would prove it, and once it was proved, only then that was accepted by the people. And that is how we can say people with generally, you can say, scientific approach or a inquisitive and questioning spirit understood each and every aspect of life and world around them. And that is how we can say this particular way of or approach of the people led to a modern way of modern society, which was reformed. It was reformation of the mindset and the society on the whole. Second point, we have development of humanism. Till now it was considered that human is a lesser mortal, and that is why more importance should be given to the study of the divine being, the gods, heavens, and other such supernatural or paranormal things. But now onwards it was basically thought that human figures is the thing which should be more studied. It should be more brought out in expressions and in every particular way of display of art everywhere, even from art, literature, painting, writing, literatures, everything. It was sculpting everywhere. Humanism became the most important aspect of the studies. Every study was circling around the human body, about the human being and its feelings, and the feelings are not its feeling, his feelings and his emotions and the things that he goes through. So all those things were depicted over there. Even we see when the paintings were made, most of the motifs of the paintings were taken from the biblical stories. But over there, the biblical stories which were taken into the paintings and drawings, they were not those showing gods and godly and divinely things. They were those which showed the human figure, which glorified the human expressions, human sadness, human feelings, emotions, representation of human beings. So human study of human beings or human feelings, that became the most important point of study for this particular society during this time. So we can say obviously Renaissance was all thanks to it, because of which we got this aspect of study, and that is called as humanism. Humanities, you must have heard about, that is it. Next is development of scientific outlook. Now we have done this earlier also. We studied that people started having scientific attitude and inquisitive attitude, a very questioning and curious spirit, inquisitive spirit. They wanted to know more things. So because of this, their approach became quite scientific, rational, based on the proofs that they have to believe on a particular thing. And that is why this particular mindset or approach towards things made them very, very, you can say, a scientific outlook, because science totally believes on things when it is proved to it. And that is how over here people got this particular mindset, that if a thing is proved through some particular experiment, through some examples which will remain constant in all the situations, then only a thing can be believed that it is going to be like that, or it is true, whatever is the studies about that particular thing says. It has to be based on the observations and experimentation and proofs. So that was a scientific outlook that people developed, and that made people and society more, you can say, moving towards progress and achieving a better, you can say, level of understanding things, scientific approach. Next was rise of monarchical form of government. Till now we can say the kings almost lost their importance, because the church, the pope, they were the ones who were ruling over the society. Nothing could be done without their consent, without their approval. Even the science could not make any of the researches and theories if it contradicts the religion. So they had to get the approval and consent of the religion and the religious leaders, the popes and all. Then only they could move further with their experiments or with their studies or things, researches. So here later we see the kings, when this particular feudalism and this dominance of the church and the religious class, it lost its power. Then the rulers became more powerful, and the decline of the authority of the church gave them the power to have their firm control over their kingdoms and take decisions on their own, not depending on the decisions given by the priests and the religious leaders. Next was development of arts. Renaissance led to the new form of painting, sculpture, art, totally based on, you can say, human figure and human expressions and human emotions. So that is something which was a new aspect to this particular creative field of art, literature, art, painting and sculpting. And this was because of Renaissance, the modern outlook, modern way of thinking, which made way for a modern way of painting and drawing and artistic field. Next is rise of the middle class. Till now there were either the peasants or there were the royals. There was no particular section as middle class. But after the Renaissance, people got into education, they started learning, and this educated class which took over the jobs of, you can say, the lawyers and maybe the businesses and so on, they started doing teaching and all that. That turned out to be neither the lower class of the peasants and neither the higher class of the royals. So that turned out, or that made a way for another totally different segment of society. And so society got its third most important class, which was right in the center or the marginal way in the society, and that was the you can say the middle class. Middle class came into being. After that, the next is rise and growth of nation states. Renaissance led to the feeling of nationality and the progress of national literature. This in turn led to the rise of growth of nation states. That means those who wanted their nation to do well, do something or the other to make glorify their name, their particular kingdom. You can say the feeling of patriotism, it is very much similar to that feeling, a nationalistic feeling that was now evolved in the people. And they started working and doing things which could bring glory or glorify their kingdom, their areas, their state, and that is how people had started having these nationalistic feelings. Lastly, we see the consequences of geographical explorations. When we talk about it, I'll read it for you. Scientific inventions enabled people to explore new routes. That means through the you can say mariners compass, they got the way through the sea and the oceans, and they got different routes, distant routes to distant lands, and that is how new routes were found. These geographical discoveries led to the establishment of trade between Europe as well as East. That means the British and all the other European countries who did their trade with the other India or Asian countries. When they came through Africa, they had their African countries alliances with them. Even Columbus went in search of India, he went to America. So because of this, new routes, new places were found, and that is how Europe got its trade relations with different new particular countries and areas. So this was all a result and outcome of the geographical explorations. It also made way for the progress of colonization of Asia and Africa. When they came to know that these people are not that advanced in terms of artillery, ammunition, and maybe various other loopholes they could find out, and they realized that these countries or these areas are rich in resources, then obviously they were tempted, and that is how it led to the colonization of all these different countries in Asia and you can say Africa, to become an easy target for colonization by the European nations, the giants like Britain, France, Germany and Italy, and so on and so forth. So that is how we can say these were the consequences of geographical explorations, and altogether the consequences of Renaissance. So with this we come to the end of the chapter. Now comes the most important part, and that is the question answers that we will be discussing. So quickly take out your books. I will be giving you the answers as per the pages in my book, the edition which I have. So in my edition, it starts from page number 97, the chapter, and question answers are given on page 105. So accordingly, I'll tell you. I have 12 questions. Question number 1. What is meant by the term Renaissance? So the answer is on page number 97, the very first paragraph. You will underline the lines which I am reading out for you. I'll read it slow so you will understand. First paragraph on the left hand side of page 97. The term Renaissance means rebirth or revival. It stands for a complex transitional movement in Europe between medieval and modern times. After this, leave one line and then the next line. It marked the revival of the freedom to think and act without being controlled by any external agency. That is your answer number 1. Question number 2. Mention any 2 causes of the Renaissance. So these we have to mention, but we will explain a little bit about each point. So that will be your answer. Further answers also included in it. I'll let you know. So under this that causes, first you will write from page number 97 itself. The first cause, capture of Constantinople. So here you will mark again what I am reading for you. Constantinople was the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire and was a center of Greek and Roman cultures. Then next line you will come down. But Constantinople fell into the hands of the Turks in 1453. Many Greek and Roman scholars were thus forced to shift to Rome and other parts of Europe with their manuscripts. After this, you will leave 2 lines, and then from the 3rd line after that, you will mark, wherever they went, they spread their new spirit and ideas. In this way, they revived the interest of the people in the study of Greek philosophy. So this entire paragraph is your first point in your answer number 2. That is the capture of Constantinople. Second point you will write, decline of feudalism. Just the next point after this, next paragraph. There you will mark, feudalism was a system according to which the medieval European society was organized on the basis of land tenure. Next line you will mark, from the king down to the lowest landowners were bound together by obligation and defense. After that, come to the second paragraph of this point. The society had a graded organization in which there was hardly any chance for social mobility and progress. Next line. However, decline of feudalism in the 13th and 14th centuries provided an impetus to free thinking. The peace and freedom that prevailed after the decline of feudalism favored the growth of new learning. So I hope you will find it. You can pause this video and find out wherever I am reading and underline it. It might take some time, but it will be easier for you once you get the answers in your copies. So that is your answer number 2. After this, your question number 3 asks about the Constantinople thing, and question number 4 asks about feudalism. So that is why we did question 2 such long answer, because it is basically a combination of your answers of answer number 3 also and answer number 4 also. So that is why you can rule out question 3, question 4. We have already answered about them in answer number 2. Clear? You will do question 1, question 2, you will leave question 3, question 4, and we'll straight away come down to question number 5. It says, mention any 2 factors that led to the growth of spirit of inquiry among the people of Europe. So here you will mark from page number 98. In my book it is on right hand side, the first paragraph of this page, which is the 4th point given here as spirit of inquiry. Under that you will mark, in the medieval age, all human activities, come down to the next line, were controlled and guided by the authority of the Pope and the Church. Leave one line and then next line you will mark. But a number of scholars discarded the ideas of medieval period and developed a spirit of inquiry and a sense of curiosity among the people. Leave one line, next you will mark. They did not regard anything as correct merely because the theologies of the church had regarded it as correct. Next line, they wanted a transition from faith to reason, observation and experimentation. This entire thing is your answer number 5. Question 6. How did the invention of the printing press bring in a new awakening in Europe? The answer you will find on this answer you will find on page number 99, and it says on page number 99, the right hand side of the page, their first paragraph will be your answer. Almost the entire paragraph is your answer. I'll read it quickly. Just the last 2 lines you will have to miss out, otherwise the entire paragraph is your answer. I'll read it quick. The invention of the printing press in the middle of the 15th century in Europe made it possible to produce books in large numbers. The Bible and many other religious and classical books were printed and made available all over Europe. The printing press spread knowledge far and wide. Scholars found it easier to read printed books than handwritten manuscripts. In the Middle Ages, books were few and they were beyond the reach of the ordinary people. The printing press enabled Europe to multiply books and put them within the reach of the people. So this entire paragraph is your answer number 6. Only the last 2 lines you have missed out. Rest everything is your answer number 6. Coming to question number 7. Mention any 2 consequences of geographical explorations. You can write, it led to the discovery of new sea routes. You can also write, it made contact between East and the West and began to develop a fusion of ideas, also made way for colonization. So these are 3 things I have told you. You can write any of them. New sea routes, fusion of ideas of Europe and Asian African countries, and third is made way for colonization. Question number 8. Explain briefly the term humanism. This answer in my book, it is on page number 99. 99. And it is under the heading Principles of Renaissance. The first heading is given as humanism. There you will mark. Just mark what I am reading out for you. You can underline that. Humanism was regarded as the most remarkable phenomena of Renaissance. Leave one line, next line. The word humanism was derived from the Latin word studia humanitatis, or the studies of mankind. We'll just do this much. We'll not do any more explanation of the term. Next we move on to question number 9. Why did the Renaissance begin in Italy? Give 2 reasons. This answer is on page number 100 under the heading, right hand side if you see, it is given beginning of Renaissance. Under that, the first 2 points, I'll tell you what to mark over there. These 2 points will be your answer number 9. First point, Italy was the seat of the glorious Roman Empire and all the historical remains and relics of the Romans were found here. Second point you will write from the second line. A large number of Greek scholars and thinkers migrated to Italy along with their original manuscripts and art treasures. These scholars not only instilled a spirit of inquiry and enthusiasm among the people of Italy, but also encouraged a large number of Italian artists. Just this much. That is going to be your 2 points for answer number 9. Question 10. Renaissance artists tried to depict life on canvas and stone. With reference to this statement, describe the progress in the art of painting. So here you will mark from page number 101 under the heading Impact of Renaissance. The first point is given art. So for art you will mark first paragraph itself only. Third line. During the medieval times, the paintings and sculpture served as a tool for propagating religion. Leave one line. Next line, second line you will mark. However, the artists of the Renaissance period refused to abide by medieval rules. They adopted new artistic methods such as frescoes for wall pictures, oil colors and woodcuts. Leave two lines. They also studied human anatomy to find the mechanism underlying gestures and expressions. So this was all the changes that came in the field of art and painting, sculpting. Question number 11. Mention the impact of Renaissance in the field of English literature. Page number 103. The first paragraph given on this page on the left hand side, and it is under the heading literature. You will mark from the first line and mark only the things which I am reading out for you. The most significant impact of Renaissance on literature was the use of local languages. Next line. Besides, there was a change of themes in the literary work. Earlier, writers dwelt on spiritual themes including heaven. However, during Renaissance, the authors wrote on man and his problems. In brackets you can write humanism. Next we move on to question number 12, the last question, which is mention the theory introduced by Copernicus. This we'll write from page 103 and we'll tell what were the important features of the theory given by Copernicus. So the answer you will write from page 103, last paragraph, right at the bottom on the right hand side. It says Nicholas Copernicus, come to the second line straight away, formulated a model of the universe that placed the sun rather than the earth at the center of the universe. Then next page, where you can see the picture of Copernicus, just next to it, it is given the points of the theory. So from there you will continue. Copernicus based his heliocentric theory on the following points. First, there is no one center of all celestial spheres or circles. Second point, the center of the earth is not the center of the universe. Third point, all the spheres revolve about the sun as their midpoint. And fourth point, the earth has more than one motion. So that is how he gave his theory. We have done all the important features of the theory as well. So with this we come to the end of the question answers. We have finished the syllabus, finished the chapter also. So now we will move on to the next chapter in the next module, which probably must be the civics part we'll be doing. So probably it must be the last chapter of civics. I'll let you know when we do it. But here we have finished the chapter Renaissance. So probably after this we'll move to the civics portion to complete civics chapter, one more civics chapter. So with this we come to the end of the module, and as well as we have finished the chapter also.